#1 primetime news hour in Los Angeles. Award-winning Hal Fishman, Jan Carl, Larry McCormick, and Stu Nahan with sports. Channel 5 News at 10.
Good evening. The Christopher Commission today issued its long-awaited report on the management and practices of the Los Angeles Police Department. The commission was appointed by Mayor Tom Bradley following the Rodney King incident. Steve Lynch reports on the specific recommendations.
Warren Christopher and Vice Chairman John Arguelles first delivered a copy of the report to Mayor Tom Bradley, and then to Parker Center, where Police Chief Darrell Gates thanked the commission for its thorough 228-page report. Although saying the vast majority of officers worked with skill and dedication and without excessive force, the report said changes are needed and necessary, starting with a limit of 1 5-year term for Chief of Police, renewable once at the discretion of the Police Commission. Should Chief Gates stay?
Chief Gates has now served for 13 years, and hence we believe it is appropriate to commence the transition in the office of Chief of Police. We hope that Chief Gates will remain in office while his successor is chosen and that he will aid in the implementation of this report.
The report also said a small but significant group of officers repeatedly misused force in violation of department rules, aggravated by racism and bias.
The Commission's review of patrol car transmissions revealed many, I'm sad to say far too many, disturbing racial remarks and ethnic slurs. Command officers made little effort to review these transmissions or to impose discipline.
Specifically, the report noted actual transmissions between police cars on their field computers, which spelled out racial slurs against blacks, Mexicans, and ethnic minorities. Chief Gates said the transmissions constitute only a minute percentage of transmissions. The report goes on to recommend the Police Commission be dissolved and restructured with members not associated with the Chief Gates controversy, a major overhaul of the system of disciplining police officers, strong leadership to control a group of problem officers who misuse force, tangible ways that racism and bias will not be tolerated, and a community-based policing model to emphasize service to the public. The commission report is unanimous. The commission did not set out to assess or place any blame, and it did not. As far as Chief Gates is concerned, it is his decision whether or not to resign at this point. As far as racism is concerned, Christopher himself said that through cultural awareness and sensitivity training, the force can be improved, starting at the police academy level. In downtown Los Angeles, Steve Lynch, Channel 5 News at 10.
Police Chief Darrell Gates praised the work of the Christopher Commission and says many of its findings reflect his own recommendations. The chief told a news conference at police headquarters that he is not startled by any of the commission's findings, but Gates said he is distressed that the actions of a small group of officers has overshadowed the enormous contribution of 8,000 other policemen and women. Gates then spoke about his own specific plans.
I suspect all of you are saying, okay, Chief, now what are you going to do? And my feeling is, as it has always been, that one day I do want to retire. There's no question about that. 13 years of being battered, pushed, and otherwise tormented is a long, long time. On the other hand, the support that I have within this organization and with the community has been just outstanding, and so I don't expect to just run away.
Chief Gates pointed out it will require changes in the city charter to implement the commission's recommendations, and that it will take some time to make those changes. He joked that he might not want to stay in office that long. As we mentioned a few moments ago, one of the recommendations was that the police commission should be dissolved, that the members should resign. Well, 2 members of the Los Angeles Police Commission reacted to the Christopher report by handing in their resignations. The first to quit was acting president Melanie Lomax.
After careful consideration of all the circumstances, I believe that I can perform no greater service for this entire community of Los Angeles than by contributing toward the process of reform and healing embodied by the findings of the Independent Commission. I would therefore tender my resignation as a member of the Los Angeles Police Commission.
Commissioner Sam Williams also resigned today. 3 other members of the Police Commission have been appointed since the controversy developed. They are not expected to resign because the recommendation of the commission was that those who were specifically involved in relation to Chief Gates and the Rodney King incident are the ones who should resign. Mayor Tom Bradley praised both Lomax and Williams for their actions, and he is now calling on the City Council to set all recommendations of the Christopher Commission into motion. Marta Waller has more on the reaction from City Hall.
Mayor Bradley's remarks were brief and to the point. He began by describing the findings of the Christopher Commission as profoundly disturbing. He said police management had failed to address the significant number of officers who use excessive force. Today, Bradley did not directly call for the resignation of Chief Gates, but made it clear he believes it's time for a change.
And I say to those who would block the road to change, stand aside, or we will leave you behind. For we cannot, we will not rest until the Christopher Commission has changed the way we police our city. I hope that Chief Gates, upon further reflection, will also follow the Commission's recommendations.
Reaction by City Council members was divided.
I do not believe the chief should be required to resign. I think that he should stay on. I think he has a exemplary record of service to the city and as a chief of police. And I think that he should stay on and implement the recommendations that are made by this commission report.
It is my view, and it has been, and it is unchanged in this regard, that the chief is a liability to the health, the welfare, the public image of the city of Los Angeles. I wish not to have our energies focused exclusively on Darrell Gates any longer. We need police accountability in the city of Los Angeles. We deserve effective law enforcement.
Mayor Bradley has already asked the city's personnel department to initiate a nationwide search for a new chief of police. The city council must give its approval before that search can begin, and Mayor Bradley says that he expects it to take about 6 months to find an appropriate replacement for Chief Gates. At City Hall in downtown Los Angeles, Marta Waller, Channel 5 News at 10.
Steve Lerman, the attorney for Rodney King, says the Christopher Commission did a thorough job. Now he hopes they have an opportunity to put their recommendations into effect.
I think they've done a fine job. They went through 1 million pages, and they're not done yet. They're going to meet again in 6 months to see the status of these implementations. And that's the true test of the commission's findings. If in 6 months from now, we have a new and different society here in L.A. That is to say, a society of officers that are responsive to the public, not abusive.
Many officers at the Los Angeles Police Department's Foothill Division say they are not surprised at the findings in the Christopher Commission report. Our reporter, Eric Spillman, was there this morning as officers watched Warren Christopher's news conference.
At Foothill Station, police officers huddled around TV screens. Here, they paid special attention to the commission's report. The officers responsible for the Rodney King incident are co-workers. Most here say they expected to hear the department blasted for alleged brutality, but even now, few think it's anything more than a minor problem. Or if they do, they're not willing to say it.
You're the one that's doing what you're thinking is right. You're out there and fighting. You want to control the situation quick. You want to get the guy under your control quick. So you have to do what you have to do.
Some of the officers we spoke with say they don't think the commission's recommendations will change the way they do their jobs, not for a long time. Some say they're still not convinced that there need to be any changes. Many agree that patrol officers need more supervision, but they wonder who's going to pay for it. And as for racism in the LAPD, veteran cops like Lieutenant Thomas Mayweather say the commission may be exaggerating.
Well, I'm not naive to say racism isn't present in the department.
Yes.
To the extent that the Christopher Commission indicated, I don't know if I support that.
What has changed at Foothill Station since the King beating? There are a few new faces, but aside from that, not much, says one officer.
We're not changing any of our ways we do our patrolling. We're working hard.
And after they finished watching the commission's report on TV, it was back to work as usual. Eric Spillman, Channel 5 News at 10.
The Christopher Commission, appointed by Mayor Bradley, has no enforcement powers. It has made its recommendations. Implementation of any of its findings is now the responsibility of executive and legislative authorities and ultimately the electorate. Jan?
Los Angeles Sheriff's deputies have arrested 2 men in connection with the drive-by shooting of a family in Willowbrook. This past weekend, 14-month-old Michelle Jones was shot in the face as her parents lifted her out of the family car. She died a short time later. Her parents and another relative were also shot when the gunman opened fire from the passenger seat of a blue Jeep Cherokee. Gerald Whitson and Sean Yoakley of Los Angeles have been arrested in connection with the murder. They are being held without bail pending arraignment. After a year-long delay, a Beverly Hills judge has finally set a date today for a preliminary hearing for the Menendez brothers. The pair are charged with the shotgun murders of their wealthy parents. The hearing, scheduled for August 12th, will determine whether there's enough evidence to try the brothers on capital murder charges. But prosecutors say they'll ask the state's high court to postpone all proceedings in the case until a decision is made on a key piece of evidence. The court still must decide whether conversations between the brothers and their psychologist recorded after the murders are admissible in court. In Phoenix, 33 people have been arrested in connection with a drug ring selling anabolic steroids. The drugs are often used illegally by bodybuilders and athletes to improve performance. DEA agents seized thousands of doses of the illegal drugs in raids on 4 businesses. 3 gyms have been closed, and authorities seized a cache of more than 24 weapons and more than $90,000 in cash. The raid is the first in the nation since new federal laws were passed making steroid possession or sales subject to harsh penalties. If convicted, the dealers will face up to 5 years in prison.
The Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors has voted in favor of a proposal that would allow the importation of the abortion pill RU-486 from France. Warren Wilson reports that the 4-to-1 vote also reflects support for proposed federal legislation.
The proposed motion to encourage Congress to rescind the Bush administration order banning RU-486 from clinical research in the United States drew strong reaction from both sides of the abortion issue. RU-486 is a French-produced drug which medical scientists believe may be effective for the treatment of diabetes, cancer, AIDS, and other fatal diseases. But the FDA blocked further use in clinical studies in 1989 because it was used in France by women who wanted to terminate early pregnancies. One witness made a direct attack on Molina.
Gloria, I'd like to tell you, as a Hispanic woman, please don't go through with this proposal. The women who will be most affected by this will be the Hispanic women, those who cannot defend themselves because of language barriers or because they are simply too timid or don't know the questions to ask. They will be the ones that will be used as guinea pigs. Most people are remembered for one action in their lives, and this will be the action that you will be remembered for.
It is a choice that I have made freely and clearly. I believe in it strongly enough to support this motion that allows for safe, clinical, scientific testing of a drug that will be valuable to many people who make a choice.
The 4-to-1 vote sends a strong message to a large congressional delegation that the most powerful board of supervisors in the state wants medical research to continue. They rejected some emotional arguments that the issue was abortion. From downtown Los Angeles, Warren Wilson, Channel 5, News at 10.
And tonight on News at 10, a report of an assassination attempt against Saddam Hussein. That story's coming up in just a moment. Also tonight, a 707 jetliner makes an emergency landing after losing part of its nose gear during the takeoff. We'll have coverage of that story for you. And this man won't be driving anywhere for a while after racking up 400 traffic tickets. We'll have details when we come right back.
Here you have Winfield coming up, red hot. He's hit it deep, and it is gone. Angels up 7-1. Then it's out of here.
Live from the Big A.
Blast it to the plate, Parker.
The Angels unload against the Bronx Bombers.
Schofield makes the play.
It's Friday Night Baseball. The Angels and Yankees at 7:30 on Channel 5, your station for Angels baseball.
Okay, why survival? Basically 2 simple points. We've got the best deal for auto insurance in California, and we're there to service you in the event you need us. You know, and those 2 points are very important points when it comes to shopping for insurance.
Call Survival. For any car, any driver, Survival offers the lowest rates and best service. 1-800-441-5533. You tried the rest, now try the best. Call Survival now.
Rebuilding after a fire, the insurance adjuster's fee takes a big bite out of your insurance check, so call Clemens, the one fire rebuilder giving you a licensed adjuster without cost.
We chose the Clemens Construction Company.
He handled everything.
And the job is really great.
Honesty and reliability are so important, and that's what I found with Clemens Construction.
I can show you how fast I can get you back into your home.
When there's a fire, call Clemens.
Just like our radio says, let's do it your way at Metro Nissan. Just look at this brand new 1991 Nissan Sentra. Just $64.77. Just $64.77. So if you're looking for a new Nissan, you can do it at Metro Nissan. Call us at 714-625-5575. That's 714-625-5575. It's Metro Nissan. I-10 Freeway, Monte Vista exit across from the Montclair Plaza. Metro Nissan, Montclair.
When bigotry and prejudice leads to violence, it's called a hate crime. If you've been the victim of a hate crime, you need to know that the law is on your side. Speak up, call the police, and let the law work for you.
Southern California is facing its fourth year of drought. Studies have shown that the snowpack in the eastern Sierra Nevada is about 1/2 of normal. Citizens are being asked to voluntarily reduce water consumption by 10%. If we all do our part, we can forestall mandatory water curtailment. This public service message is brought to you by KTLA.
President Bush is preparing to lift economic sanctions against South Africa now that the country has abolished all of its major apartheid laws. The change could come as early as tomorrow. According to the White House, Mr. Bush will notify Congress that South Africa has met all legal conditions for repeal of the sanctions. Congress imposed the measure 5 years ago to pressure the South African government to end its policies of racial segregation. In another development today, the International Olympic Committee voted to readmit South Africa into Olympic competition after a 21-year suspension because of apartheid. Talks on how to implement a 2-day-old peace accord in Yugoslavia appear deadlocked tonight. Federal authorities and officials in the breakaway Republic of Slovenia cannot agree on terms for lifting blockades inside that republic. Despite the stalled negotiations, Slovenia's parliament is expected to approve the peace accords when it meets tomorrow. Nevertheless, Slovenian soldiers are preparing for more clashes with federal forces. Today, they placed anti-tank mines along the perimeter of a federal army barracks and along other key sections of Slovenian territory. According to the peace accord, Slovenia is supposed to lift its blockades, deactivate its militia, and release all prisoners. An opposition group inside Iraq claims that Saddam Hussein narrowly escaped a murder plot, but that 3 members of Hussein's entourage were killed. The group said it ambushed Hussein's motorcade during a visit to the city of Karbala, which is 60 miles south of Baghdad. The group did not say exactly when the attack is supposed to have occurred, and there was no way to verify the claim. In Denver, the crew of a Burlington Air cargo jet managed to escape injury after a landing gear broke apart. The problem developed as the Boeing 707 4-engine jet took off. The pilot circled the airport to burn off excess fuel, then returned for the emergency landing. Well, the sparks flew as the jet skidded down the runway. There was no fire. The crew of 6 and their cat were a bit shaken up, but otherwise they're just fine tonight. Jane?
An explosion ripped through a pipeline construction site in northern Wisconsin this afternoon, killing 3 workers. The blast occurred 20 miles south of Lake Superior. Work crews were trying to install a new gas pipeline in the area when some explosives used by the drilling crew were accidentally ignited. The existing gas pipeline was not damaged, but the explosion was felt as far away as 4 miles from the construction site. Besides the 3 fatalities, 4 other workers were injured. One of them is in critical condition tonight. Locally, it was graduation day for firefighter and paramedic recruits of the Los Angeles City Fire Department. 21 firefighters and 14 paramedics successfully completed several months of intensive training to obtain their new positions. As part of today's exercises, the graduates demonstrated some fire department operations. These included fighting a simulated structure fire and jumping into a life net. The graduates then celebrated the occasion by tossing their hats into the air and congratulating fellow classmates. They will now be assigned to various fire stations throughout the city.
In Philadelphia, the #1 traffic offender on the city's most wanted list is in jail tonight after racking up, get this, 407 tickets in 2 years. A 19-year-old Richard Canning is being held on $80,000 bail. Officials say he failed to respond to any of his traffic tickets, including 143 violations for driving without a license.
Why did you ignore $89,000 worth of tickets?
Because I didn't know it was that many tickets.
I mean, did you know there were $50,000 worth or $20,000 worth?
I thought about 10. I thought maybe 10,000 at the most.
Why did you ignore it, though?
I ain't got $10,000 to pay.
If convicted, Canning may have to pay all his overdue fines and could lose his driver's license forever. In any case, according to the traffic court administrator, unquote, he won't be driving anywhere for a while, end of quote. Let's go to Larry McCormick now and take a look at tonight's consumer trends. And Larry, you know, that guy with that many tickets in that amount of time, I figure, he was getting 1 ticket every other day.
Yes.
I mean, now that's got to be some kind of record.
Question becomes, if he's a dumb driver, can there be such a thing as a dumb driver but a smart car?
I guess there must
This
be.
is going to be an interesting segue,
Right,
because our
I
consumer
can
report
see that's
tonight-
coming up.
Yes. The so-called smart car is the focus of our Consumer Trends report tonight. It's really a car with a computer that tells the driver how to get to a destination more efficiently. The computer uses traffic information from existing local command centers, and a satellite receiver in the car helps pinpoint its exact location. Just tell the computer where you want to go, and it will steer you with the most direct route. Transportation Secretary Samuel Skinner unveiled the smart car in Illinois today, and it has some interesting features, I think.
The real advantage that we will have from Advance will be to reduce congestion and improve safety. This will consume less energy, promote a cleaner environment, and of course, shorter travel times.
The Illinois Department of Transportation will conduct the test project in conjunction with the University of Illinois, Northwestern University, and Motorola, the company that brought us the first car radio. And if you remember that, you're probably older than you've been telling people you are. The project involves 5,000 volunteers, mostly in the Chicago area. Their really rather ordinary vehicles will be turned into smart cars over a 5-year trial period. The cost, $40 million, but half of it is going to be paid by the U.S. government.
太湖河上8条坝被打开以后，从太湖到黄浦江一条7月2号以来，河南省淮南地区再到支流。
Since 1947, no one has covered Southern California like KTLA. Over 40 years of innovative, award-winning coverage of the local scene. Now, the station that set the standards of the past is breaking new ground for the future. Every weekday, Southern California's only local 2-hour morning newscast. Traffic and weather every 8 minutes. Up-to-the-minute local news on the scene. The KTLA Morning News. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9 on Channel 5.
In a sultry, hot summer, passion makes every moment more intense. Forbidden romance makes every moment more dangerous. No one can stop when they dance this dance. A dance that's as hot as it gets. A passion that's even hotter. Salsa, a world television premiere. Wednesday at 8 on Channel 5.
What a difference a day makes. 24 little hours.
C&R Express Tailoring. Pick out your clothes today, pick them up tomorrow.
What a difference a day makes. And the difference is you.
Express Tailoring, exclusively at C&R.
Why are thousands flocking to the Franchise and Business Opportunities Expo?
I just got tired of working for other people. I wanted to get my own business. I
I thought something possibly for myself might be a lot more lucrative and a lot more fun.
Wouldn't everyone like to be their own boss?
Tired of working for someone else? Go to the Franchise and Business Opportunities Expo. Franchises, dealerships, home businesses, investments. You'll find them all this weekend at the Anaheim Convention Center.
I never knew there was that many opportunities out there.
It's terrific.
Families with children comprise 1/3 of the homeless population in Los Angeles. They need your help. For more information, please call Beyond Shelter, 1-800-540-0065.
United States military reservists still serving in the Persian Gulf region may be coming home soon. The Pentagon says they'll replace the troops with fresh reserves in the coming weeks. 10,000 soldiers from the reserves and the National Guard are among the troops still deployed in the area. Those reservists who desire to come back to the United States will be replaced by troops who desire to go to the Gulf region. Only those soldiers with required skills will be allowed to stay longer. Also, in the Middle East, in Jordan, the government now says it favors the United Nations role in the Middle East peace talks. Today, a special U.S. envoy, Edward Bruner, met with King Hussein and other government officials in Amman, the capital of Jordan. Bruner arrived in Jordan from Israel. His tour of the region is also scheduled to include visits to Syria and Egypt. The Spanish Premier, Felipe González, was in Moscow today, meeting with Soviet President Gorbachev. Gorbachev used the public meeting to send a warning to separatist Soviet republics. He said the crisis in Yugoslavia must be resolved according to the Yugoslav constitution. That's the same argument, the same rationale that he's used to hold the Soviet republics together. On Soviet-Spanish relations, the two leaders express hope for more economic interaction in the future. In El Salvador, one Army officer was killed, 3 soldiers were injured in a gun battle between leftist guerrillas and government troops. The government officials say an Army unit fought to retake control of a section of the Pan American Highway. There were no reports of casualties among the rebels of the Farabundo Martí National Liberation Front who were involved in that clash. Also in El Salvador, a prominent labor union activist named Martín Ayala Ramirez was found murdered in his office. Leftist leaders say right-wing death squads were responsible for that attack. Jan?
Massive flooding in China has claimed at least 1,000 lives and caused more than $3 billion in damage. The floods caused by a month-long torrential downpour have wiped out nearly 22 million acres of farmland and left 5 million people homeless. The hardest hit area is Shanghai. 8 dams in one county had to be blown up to reduce the level of a dangerously swollen lake. Although the most severe damage is centered in eastern China, the floods also left a path of destruction from Manchuria in the north to the Chinese border with Burma in the south. In New York today, angry pet owners cursed a father and son who pleaded innocent to mail fraud charges in a pet burial scandal. About 50 of the pet owners gathered around the men's car as they left a federal courthouse. The furious owners yelled at the men, rocked their car, and spit on the windshield. The father and son are accused of accepting thousands of dollars for individual cremation and burials of cats and dogs, and then dumping the animals instead into a mass grave. If convicted, the two face up to 5 years in prison and $5 million in fines. Supreme Court nominee Clarence Thomas toured Capitol Hill for a second day today in an effort to gain support for his Senate confirmation hearing. John Aubuchon reports.
How do we get out of here? How you doing? Most of the lobbying is behind closed doors as Clarence Thomas makes the rounds of senators key to his confirmation, with brief picture-taking sessions as these courtesy calls begin. This was a particularly important one. Senator Joseph Biden will chair the Judiciary Committee hearings on the Supreme Court nominee.
It's for it to be full and fair and as expeditious as possible.
Nothing different than for any other nominee, Biden promised. Judge Thomas might or might not be talking about issues in these meetings, probably not, but he's not saying.
Well, I'd love to answer your questions, but I'm under wraps.
So, for example, there is no Thomas response to some new opposition to his nomination from a stalwart of the civil rights movement, Congressman John Lewis, who now has come out against Thomas. Why?
This man, with his background, with his lack of experience, but it's more than just a lack of experience. He has not been an advocate, not a strong, progressive force for civil rights, for the rights of women, for protecting the rights of individuals, and not for older Americans.
Conservatives, of course, especially conservative Republicans, have no trouble at all with the Thomas nomination.
You deserve a lot of credit. You brought yourself up by your own bootstraps.
But a top Bush aide says privately that the president believes Mitchell and other top Democrats will end up supporting the Thomas nomination. On Capitol Hill, John Aubuchon, Channel 5 News at 10.
And just ahead tonight here on News at 10, Stu Nahan has exciting highlights of tonight's big All-Star game. Preparations are underway for the Space Spectacular to take place on Thursday. And a major evacuation in the Southland is underway at this hour. We'll have a live report in just a moment.
For the first time on television,
He pulled out a gun.
What were you looking for?
Peter Weller,
You cops, you're the best that money can buy.
Sam Elliott.
Oh, I know what you're thinking. I'm old and slow.
Whatever you do, don't call the cops. Shakedown, a world television premiere, Thursday at 8 on Channel 5.
What makes birthdays so special? Is it the party, the presents, the cake, or is it something more? Perhaps birthdays are special because we're celebrating the most precious gift of all, life. Unfortunately, there are many, many boys and girls in this world whose lives offer little reason to celebrate. Did you know in many countries, 2 out of 5 little ones never even make it to their 5th birthday? In Bangladesh, a 4-year-old must drink from the same disease-infested water that the animals bathe in. And in El Salvador, a little girl lies in a dark corner of her family's hut, stricken with tuberculosis, too weak to move. But there is something you and I can do. Together with the people at Save the Children, we can help bring years and years of healthy, happy birthdays to little children all over the world. All it takes is $20 a month and a little love and compassion to become a sponsor. And your sponsorship dollars, combined with others, can do so much, like provide immunizations to children threatened by disease, and help build wells for families who lack clean water. I can't think of a better gift than one that comes from within. So why don't you reach down into your heart and call? There's no obligation. You don't even have to send money now. Just call. In a few days, we'll send you a description of a child who needs you. Just read through the materials, then decide. Nothing compares with the joy you'll find in seeing your sponsored child grow and mature in a healthy environment you helped provide. So please call and help give a little child what he or she really needs the most: another birthday.
Bring a lifetime of happy birthdays to a child who needs you. Call 1-800-227-1900. That's 1-800-227-1900.
A major evacuation is underway in Long Beach. Let's go live to Marta Waller for the details. Marta, what's going on?
I'm standing out in front of Drake Park in Long Beach. This is where the command post has been set up. Now, the call came in this evening at about 8:45 p.m. The local residents were reporting a very foul odor that they were smelling. Some of them were even complaining that it was making them a little sick. Now, apparently a railroad tank car was offloading a chemical that is called propylene glycol methyl ether acetate. It is a rather dangerous chemical. However, the people at this company, the bulk terminal company, began hosing down the chemical immediately, so there was no concern of combustibility after they diluted it with water. It was about a 50-gallon spill. Once the water was applied, they figured somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 to 1,000 gallons of highly diluted chemical, so it's not terribly dangerous. The toxicity is moderate. It can cause upper respiratory distress. It can cause irritation to the lungs. A lot of people have complained that they are not feeling very good, but so far we've had no reports of anyone being hospitalized. Now, About 100 people have been evacuated. I'm here right now with Long Beach City Councilman Evan Browdy. Mr. Browdy, this area is right, the chemical company is immediately adjacent to a residential neighborhood. What is it like for these people? Have there been problems here before?
No, this is actually a relatively rare occurrence in this area. We've had this light industrial area down below the Drake, off the side from the Drake Park area, but it has not. I don't think we've had any spills previously, at least none that have caused this kind of a problem. We have, as you mentioned, about 100 to 125 people that have been evacuated, and it was done very efficiently, very quickly by both the fire department and our police department, working in conjunction along with our rescue people. We have the people housed right now, and hopefully for the next 3 years, over at Washington Middle School, where they'll be taken care of, and we have the Red Cross over there as well.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Browdy. We will be standing by live here at Drake Park. If there's any further information, we'll get that to you right away, and that's our live report from Long Beach. Hal?
Okay, Marta, thanks for that report. We're going to go to Larry McCormick now, who has tonight's health and fitness news. And Larry, you're going to tie this into this big all-star game
That was quite a game tonight.
Yeah, wasn't that something?
Very interesting. That's a gorgeous stadium. Yeah. I know Stu's going to talk about it.
And they never have to worry about the weather.
Yeah. It's really hotel there and everything. That'd be interesting to be there. Yeah, we are going to talk about baseball now. Sure, this was the night when the big boys played their all-star game in Toronto, but our first report tonight is about the little guys. The publication Physician and Sports Medicine says coaches and parents need to be especially aware of little league elbow. It's a painful injury due primarily to overuse, which frequently occurs in children who have not yet reached skeletal maturity. If players or their parents ignore the pain, and this especially applies to little league pitchers, and let them continue to throw hard and often, the result can be permanent, painful deformity of the elbow, and eventually, later in life, arthritis. Now, treatment involves nothing more complicated than resting the elbow until it's completely recovered. If that means not pitching for several weeks, or even waiting till next season, so be it. Parents should not push them back into pitching before they're ready. You know, highly competitive youngsters will play hurt. So it's important that parents and coaches cultivate such an honest relationship with the kid that he or she will tell you when they're hurting. Remember, these kids are not Nolan Ryan. And we've been hearing a lot about aspirin. Here's another benefit from our old friend, old plain aspirin. A series of new studies indicates that low doses of aspirin can help prevent one of the most common complications of pregnancy, high blood pressure. Keeping blood pressure under control benefits both mother and child. Now, the studies reported in the Journal of the American Medical Association indicate that aspirin also reduced by 44% the risk that women would give birth to severely underweight babies.
This appears to be a condition where prevention is probably 98% of the treatment here. It's really indicated in people who have already demonstrated a poor outcome in a previous pregnancy.
We potentially have found or have corroborated through the studies of other investigators that aspirin is potentially a very useful treatment for the prevention of pregnancy-induced hypertension.
The studies involved 394 women who took doses of aspirin ranging from 60 to 150 milligrams a day during the second and third trimesters of their pregnancies. Well, almost half of our kids under 4 suck their thumbs, and many, like Linus and Peanuts, do so in the company of a favorite blanket. It seems both behaviors help kids cope with unfamiliar people and surroundings. Now, some doctors think forcing them to stop sucking their thumbs makes them become more attached to their blankets. A psychologist at Children's Hospital in Philadelphia decided to test that theory. He painted the thumbs of 8 small children with a bad-tasting but otherwise harmless liquid twice a day, and each also carried a favorite blanket. He also had a kind of reward system, a dry thumb all day, and they got a small toy or a treat. Well, after 3 weeks, they had not only stopped sucking their thumbs, but has also lost interest, most of them, in the blankets. If you can get them to stop, it may save them some teasing by their peers, and it may save you some orthodontist bills. By the way, most kids grow out of it by about age 5. That's from the American Journal of Diseases of Children. And that's tonight's Health and Fitness Report. Hal?
Okay, Larry, an astronomical event is taking place on Thursday. It's a total eclipse of the sun, and it's drawing thousands upon thousands of extra tourists to the Hawaiian Islands. The big island of Hawaii will have the best view of the total eclipse. It will be total on the big island, but not on the others. And the local merchants there are taking full advantage of the island's latest attraction.
The hot, humid weather hasn't stopped West Hawaii from getting ready. People here are putting out the welcome mat for solar eclipse watchers from around the world. Car rental companies have brought in more vehicles to meet the demand. Some visitors may be looking for more than just wheels. County police go on 12-hour shifts beginning Tuesday. They're especially worried about possible gridlock.
It's just so massive. It's not a normal operation. Preparation has been months. And the amount of people is mind-boggling.
Over in Ali'i Sunset Plaza, an entire store is devoted to eclipse wear, but it will only be open for 2 weeks.
We started out just wholesaling our product line, which was buttons, magnets, mugs, and T-shirts, and the response was so good that we decided that we would set up shop.
Owner Kathleen Tepker is selling cups, coconuts, and even $5 cans of Hawaiian Dark. Some island families have also figured a way to make this eclipse pay. We found out about one family who rented out their own house here, used the money to put their whole family in a pricey resort vacation, and still had enough money left over to pay a maid to clean up their house after the eclipse. I'm Robbie Dingman for CNN in Kailua Kona on the Big Island of Hawaii.
The eclipse is going to be total on the Big Island. Now, the eclipse will also be total at the tip of Baja California. Here in the Los Angeles area, we'll have about a 2/3 eclipse, but it'll hardly be noticeable. Even with 2/3 of the sun obscured, still it's going to be pretty bright. Just ahead tonight on News at 10, we'll have the winning lottery numbers for you. We're going to show you a new way of catching cars here in Southern California. Actually, it's fascinating where the idea comes from. And some youngsters are brushing up on their paint skills a la Tom Sawyer, as you'll see in just a moment.
Does your morning show make you wait for Southern California's news? If you want traffic and weather reports every 8 minutes and up-to-the-minute local news on the scene, we've got what you've been waiting for. Weekdays from 7 to 9, Channel 5 brings you a 2-hour morning newscast designed for your LA lifestyle. It's the only morning show where Southern California's news is the headline, not the sideline. Live every weekday, the KTLA Morning News. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9 on Channel 5.
In a sultry, hot summer, passion makes every moment more intense. Forbidden romance makes every moment more dangerous. No one can stop when they dance this dance. A dance that's as hot as it gets. A passion that's even hotter. Salsa, a world television premiere, Wednesday at 8 on Channel 5.
After years of intense work, Lexus is ready to celebrate. Because even at the equivalent of 145 miles per hour, the Lexus LS400 is designed to stir the soul and not much else.
I put the rock in the hole. Yo, man, give me the rock.
Give me the rock, man.
Get out, get out, get out.
Here's your rock, man.
If you're gonna play, play smart. Play to win. Drugs, don't do them.
I don't want that rock, man.
Carlos Amezcua, Barbara Beck, the only morning show where Southern California comes first. The KTLA Morning News, tomorrow from 7 to 9 on Channel 5.
A device long used by the United States Navy on aircraft carriers in order to stop jet fighters or, in the old days, propeller-driven aircraft as they came into land and missed the hook is now being used here in Southern California. But instead of airplanes, the device is catching cars. Caltrans officials have nicknamed the device Dragnet. It consists of two 60-foot-long, 4-foot-high metal chain-link nets set up at each end of a construction zone. Dragnet is designed to protect Caltrans workers against drivers who ignore warning signs and roadblocks. Stray cars have killed 27 highway workers over the past 2 decades, so the device is welcome news to Caltrans employees. Let's take a look now at the weather picture here for Southern California, and I guess all that rain is gone.
Yeah, I know. It's unusual for us to have it in July, but I wasn't surprised it was here and gone.
Yeah, 1/1300th of an inch, I understand, was the official total.
That's right.
Okay.
Not much to write home about, but we're glad to have anything we can get. For today, mostly sunny skies and drier air provided us with warmer temperatures throughout the Southland today. These conditions were due to a high pressure system that's building just to the west of us. Now, over the next few days, this system will continue to bring the Southland a dry westerly flow and even warmer temperatures. However, a shallow marine layer along the coast will produce increasing late night through mid-morning low clouds there, as well as cooler temperatures. Let's take a look at temperatures in the west today. San Francisco had a high of 63. Portland reached 67, Salt Lake City was 85, Las Vegas 97, and Phoenix all the way up to 104. Across the nation today, hot and humid tropical moisture combined with a weak frontal system to produce scattered showers and severe thunderstorms throughout parts of the Central Plains. Grand Island, Nebraska received over 5 inches of rainfall today. In other parts of the country, tropical moisture from the Gulf of Mexico was also responsible for light to locally heavy rain along the Gulf Coast. Temperatures around the nation were a little warmer today than they have been over the past couple of days. New York climbed to 87, Chicago was 80, and Billings 88. Elsewhere, humid conditions pushed temperatures up throughout the South. Miami reached 91, and Dallas a hot and humid 96. The temperature currently downtown at the Civic Center stands at 65 degrees. Relative humidity, 78%. Barometric pressure stands at 29.94, and the winds are out of the west. You'll have to trust me on this one, at 9 miles per hour. The high downtown today reached 78, and the overnight low was 61. Sunrise for tomorrow at 5:50, and the sun will set at 8:07. Tonight's forecast calls for mostly clear skies, with the exception of some low clouds and fog that will move into the coastal areas late tonight. Lows will generally vary from the low 60s in the valleys to the mid-60s along the coast. For tomorrow, conditions will vary from hazy sunshine with highs around the low to mid-70s near the coast to sunny and warmer conditions in the inland valleys with highs that will range from the mid-80s all the way up to the mid-90s. So as that high pressure system along the coast begins moving into our area this week, we can expect sunny skies with temperatures that will climb into the mid-80s at the Civic Center and into the upper 90s farther inland. And tonight's weather slide is a shot of Mendenhall Glacier in Alaska. We'd like to thank Steve Cesar of Garden Grove for sharing this with us. If you have a copy of a favorite slide you'd like to send us, here's our address: KTLA News, P.O. Box 500, Los Angeles 90078. So sunny skies and warmer weather will return to the Southland within the next couple of days. Hal?
Well, Jan, as you undoubtedly know, one of Mark Twain's most beloved characters was Tom Sawyer. And no place is the fast-talking, freckle-faced youth remembered more fondly than his hometown of Hannibal, Missouri. Dozens of would-be Tom Sawyers spent a lazy summer day cheerfully doing what Tom hated the most, that is, fence painting. These boys slopped it on as fast as they could, with many of them ending up wearing as much paint as that famous fence. So why all the enthusiasm? Well, the winner of this fence painting contest gets $500. That's a lot more than Tom Sawyer ever got. Not too bad for a quick day's work. Next up tonight, Hollywood is mourning the death of a well-known actor. We'll be right back with that story.
For the first time on television,
He pulled out a gun.
What were you looking for?
Peter Weller,
You cops, you're the best that money can buy.
Sam Elliott.
Oh, I know what you're thinking. I'm old and slow.
Whatever you do, don't call the cops. Shakedown, a world television premiere, Thursday at 8 on Channel 5.
Here you have Winfield coming up, red hot. He's hit it deep, and it is gone. Angels up 7-1. Then it's out of here.
Live from the Big A.
Blast it to the plate, Parker.
The Angels unload against the Bronx Bombers.
Schofield makes the play.
It's Friday Night Baseball, the Angels and Yankees at 7:30 on Channel 5, your station for Angels baseball.
It takes desire and dedication to break out of the mold of an average body. General Nutrition Centers can help you break the mold.
With Cybergenic's new Infinity 1700, the highest protein complex carbohydrate and calorie per serving weight gain formula made. A great tasting shake loaded with chromium picolinate. The Infinity 1700 weight gain. GNC, the authority in sports nutrition products.
8 a.m. breakfast.
Suffering from stress on the job?
Flynn on 4.
Losing sleep, stomach problems, headaches, chest pains, depression?
I don't care if you're married.
Is your job stress causing you physical problems?
These reports were due 2 days ago.
You may have the right to medical help and disability under workman's compensation.
If you can't hack this job, look somewhere else.
Don't let stress on the job cause you to fall apart.
Call the injury hotline now at 1-800-654-2654.
Give your family an experience they'll never forget when the very best artists and athletes from around the world unite in a spectacular tribute to the American spirit. Celebrate this special occasion with your family and treat them to the magic that has made the greatest show on earth your #1 entertainment value. Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, an American tradition that's part of growing up.
Opens July 17th at Long Beach Arena, coming to LA Sports Arena July 25th.
In our Wall Street report tonight, all the indicators were down. Industrials down 14.76 in active trading. Gold drop $1.50. Silver down 4 cents. Only indicator that was up today was a barrel of crude oil, up a nickel to close at $21.29 a barrel. Let's go back to Jan. I'll take a look at tonight's Hollywood report. Jan.
Okay, leading tonight's report, Hollywood is mourning the loss of veteran actor James Franciscus. Franciscus, best known for his television role as an English teacher in Mr. Novak, died last night of emphysema at the age of 57. He also starred in the television series Naked City, Longstreet, The Investigators, Doc Elliott, and Hunter. On the big screen, Franciscus is credited with roles in the films Marooned, The Outsiders, Youngblood Hawk, and Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Born in Clayton, Missouri, Franciscus attended Yale University before beginning his acting career in summer stock theater. Well, the 70th Hollywood Bowl season officially began tonight with a gala opening concert. It featured violinist Itzhak Perlman and Soviet conductor Yuri Temernikov. Leading the Los Angeles Harmonic Orchestra, this summer's musical festival at the Hollywood Bowl is expected to draw at least 750,000 people. And that's tonight's Hollywood Report. Hal?
Okay, Jan, aspiring actors looking for their big break in Hollywood may find some good fortune if they're willing to shed their clothes. The 19th annual Mr. and Ms. Nude International pageant will offer the winners a screen test for a major motion picture. Competition organizers presented the finalists today at a news conference in Hollywood. All the contestants are nudists, but bare skin alone will not win the pageant. Officials say that personality, poise, mannerisms, and, as they put it, a smiling countenance also will influence the judges. But organizers admit beauty and a good suntan would not hurt. The contest will be held this weekend.
And she'll be at the
One person who didn't make it even to the prelims, Stu Nahan, is up next with all the sports, including highlights from the All-Star game. But first, let's have tonight's winning numbers for the Little Lotto prize worth $500,000. Here are the numbers: 5, 13, 16, 17, 34, 37. And tonight's winning deco hand, the 9 of hearts, the 8 of clubs, the 5 of diamonds, and the 4 of spades. We'll be right back.
Since 1947, no one has covered Southern California like KTLA. Over 40 years of innovative, award-winning coverage of the local scene. Now, the station that set the standards of the past is breaking new ground for the future. Every weekday, Southern California's only local 2-hour morning newscast. Traffic and weather every 8 minutes. Up-to-the-minute local news on the scene. The KTLA Morning News. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9 on Channel 5.
And now some helpful hints on recycling from Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman.
Do it!
First, toothpaste came in tubes, then in unsqueezable pumps. Now, there's Neat Squeeze from Crest. Squeezes easily like a tube with the control of a pump and a pullback feature that makes brushing a lot less messy and a lot more fun. The new Neat Squeeze from Crest.
She sends them out with hats, which don't come back.
She gives them healthy treats, which do come back. So she's giving them something new at breakfast. Citrus Hill 10. Juice from 10 fruits. Nutrition from 10 vitamins. She can't always protect them because kids do what kids do. But she can give them a helping hand. So far, it's working out fine. The extra nutrition of Citrus Hill 10. Healthy kids are the real reward.
You get chicken, how about sirloin? Grab all the ribs that you can purloin. Be my little barbecue tonight. Any old time, any old weather, we'll start the fire by rubbing up together. Be my little barbecue tonight.
The Black Angus Barbecue Platter. A great deal of steak, chicken, and baby back ribs. Now only $9.95. But get them while they're hot.
It's time for sports. Let's get to Stu about that big game tonight.
Well, what happened was the Major League Baseball 62nd All-Star Game was played in Toronto's Skydome tonight. And even though the National League held a 37-23 lead in the games played, the American League had won the last 3 years in a row. The last few games have been low-scoring affairs, and one swing of the bat won tonight's contest. Now, this is the second time an All-Star game has been played outside the United States. First time was in '82 in Montreal. In the National League first, Pirates' Bobby Bonilla with a smash off the right foot of Jack Morris. The single drove in the Padres' Tony Gwynn. Morris smiled to delay any attempt to remove him. He did pitch the second. Then he went to the hospital for x-rays. They were negative. Here's another shot of the play. Now, the Orioles' Cal Ripken gave the American League a 3-1 lead in the third when he tagged the Expos' Dennis Martinez 3-run homer. Ripken had won yesterday's home run contest with 12 round trippers. Among those watching tonight's game, President Bush and Canada's Prime Minister Brian Mulroney. Andre Dawson of the Cubs got one back for the National League in the fourth with a 435-foot shot off the Red Sox pitcher Roger Clemens. That made the score 3-2 in favor of the American League. White Sox, Carlton Fisk, singled in the sixth. At the age of 43 years, 8 months, he becomes the oldest player to get a base hit in an All-Star game. Two Angel representatives, Mark Langston and Brian Harvey, didn't get into the game, but the four Dodgers on hand did. Juan Samuel got this single in the seventh inning. Eddie Murray, one of 5 players tonight to have played for both leagues in the All-Star game, struck out. Mike Morgan was there. He had replaced Ramon Martinez.